This conference will now be recorded.
We want to do a quick shout out. Take it, Miss Kirsten.
We're talking about introduction, right?
Introduction
Okay.
and B-Day. Somebody's B-Day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was very confused what you meant by shout out. So it is a special day because our beautiful blue coat Savannah is 23 today. So if everybody can please join me and sing her happy birthday. So,
1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
birthday
to
you.
Happy
birthday, dear
Savannah.
Savannah.
Happy
Birthday
to
to
you.
you.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
That was so messy.
Honestly, it wouldn't really be a blue coat birthday if it wasn't messy.
All right, now let's introduce Miss Hannah Dysinger. Oh God, I messed it up.
Dysinger.
That's right. Dysinger.
Yeah, our special guest today is from Academic Advising. As Carla said, it's Hannah Dysinger. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Ha, first try. So with that being said, if you just want to kind of introduce yourself, talk about how academic advising has changed throughout COVID, maybe kind of show ways students can get in contact with academic advising, that sort of thing, that would be great.
Awesome. All right, so my name, like was stated, is Hannah Dysinger, and I'm an academic advisor here. I've been an academic advisor since the end of September, and I am also a graduate of TAMU CT. I got both my undergraduate and my graduate degree here. So the way advising has changed since COVID has begun. We have gone entirely online, which has been interesting and challenging, but we are still completely available for students. The best way to get in contact with us is via email. We still have our phones, but sometimes if we're on the phone with a student, it kind of gets lost in the shuffle and we try to keep notes, but best way to get in contact with us through email. And we are doing appointments now, which is different from beforehand, where beforehand we did walk-ins. You could kind of walk into our office whenever. Now it's better to have an appointment because just the high influx, especially during these peak seasons when students are trying to register. If we get 3 phone calls at one time, we kind of have to just go down the list and call people back. So the best route to go is to shoot us an email and make a telephone appointment. We do have the ability to do WebEx and GoToMeetings, but both me and Yvonne have trouble with our video feed. So telephone is the best route for our appointments. Yeah, so that's kind of how we've changed for COVID. It's just 100% online, just like everyone else, but yeah, email and telephone.
Awesome.
How would a student go about finding the email?
Okay, so we're in the directory. We're also listed under the academic advising page for the College of Arts and Sciences. To go about finding our email, we also typically given students our cards in their initial advising session. Brand new students are given our contact information through admissions. So they'll, obviously new students, they do Warrior Steps 1 and 2, which is setting up their student accounts, completing online orientation, and then they'll be given our contact information from admissions, and it'll have our phone number and our email address.
I'm putting the information on the chat.
Oh. If y'all are questioning, there's a lot of information in here now. I was about to explain the first thing I put in the chat earlier. But nobody's confused.
Oh.
Because Amanda was chopping something up earlier. And like the camera was here and then the knife was like here. And she was like and I was like,
And I know we have a bunch of like different. I think the biggest question I've had students ask me when we reached out to our student body was, there's different. I know you're part of the College of Arts and Science.
Yes.
How many other, well, maybe you know this. How many other advisors are within the university, and how do you go about finding who your advisor is?
Sure, yeah. So the College of Arts and Sciences, there's me and Yvonne Ibergut. In the College of Business, there is Caleb Griffin and Carla Williams. And then in the College of Education is Miss Jasmine Evans. And the way you can figure out if you belong to the College of Arts and Sciences, College of Business, or Education, website has that information, but it's actually pretty simple. So the College of Education encompasses obviously education. They also have psychology and human exercise and physiology. The College of Business encompasses all the business degrees and the computer science degrees. And then the College of Arts and Sciences basically has everything else. So we have history, we have English, we have the social sciences, we have the sciences like biology, we have aviation, we have nursing. Trying to think of anyone else, but that's the main ones. But yeah.
And you guys are in Heritage Hall, right?
Correct. Yes, we're in Heritage Hall, and then the College of Business Advisors are in Founders Hall, and College of Education is in Warrior Hall.
So that makes it easier.
Yeah.
I do have another question. This is kind of more like leaning to my own question, I guess. So
Sure.
right now I'm doing a consortium agreement for the fall. I know that previously you kind of had to get like a signature or like a sign off from your advisor.
Sure.
But the consortium agreement has moved online. After we submit it online, does it get to you guys? Is there anything like special that needs to be done?
So the consortium agreement, like you said, has moved online to a platform that's called Dynamic Forms, and it basically automatically routes where it needs to go. So you
Okay.
fill out your section, and it gets routed to the financial aid office. The financial aid office makes sure you've completed the form, your section of the form correctly, and then the financial aid office routes it to me. And then I fill out my section of the form just like I would have in my office, where I double check and make sure your course is applicable to your degree. And then it automatically routes to CTC or Temple College, and they fill out their section. And then it gets automatically routed back to our financial aid office once every signature has been received.
That's a lot
Okay, so
easier than it used to be.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure, because I know like previously you had to take it almost from like every department by yourself practically.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything beyond that online submission that that I missed, because that would be like my
Sure.
biggest fear, to get to fall and be like, well, you never got a signature from here, and I would be like,
Yes, so it's automatically routed, and if it gets stalled in one section, the financial aid office can send an email to that office and be like, "Hey, you didn't sign this." So it's a process that's kept up with through the financial aid office. But yeah, it's a lot simpler than before, because before it had the student going halfway across town to CTC, then back and forth and back and forth. So it's a lot more simplified now.
off topic, but Carla, I'm gonna need to borrow the GRE book at some point this week. Because apparently, I don't know, I don't see anything about it being waived for this year because they're making it online. And I'm like, oh.
Oh my goodness.
I thought I was gonna get away with it, but no. Yeah.
So what advice would you have, Hannah, for someone who just fill out the admissions application and they say, okay, I want to be a history major. What do I do now?
Okay, so you just filled out the application. Say
Mhm.
you've just been accepted. The most practical next step is to complete Warrior Steps 1 and 2. Because if you come to me and say, I'm ready for advising, but you haven't completed Warrior Steps 1 and 2, I'm going to send you back to do Warrior Steps 1 and 2, especially now with everything being online. Because even our declaration of majors that used to be a handwritten form has now moved to the dynamic form platform. So I have to have students have access to their student email in order to get their declaration signed. So they have to have all those steps completed before they come see me. So that's a great next step. Also, something that I really like to see is students who have really thought about, I mean, obviously you don't have to know exactly what you want to do because people change, and part of college is growth and kind of an evolution of yourself. But someone who's really given thought to what they want to do, what they're passionate about, because because I can help you kind of guide you in the right direction. If, for example, because I went through the history program, I can be like, hey, if you're interested in this specific type of history, take these professors, because they can kind of help you in the route you want to go. And as I've kind of gotten to know more professors and more departments, I can do the same for other departments as well. So yeah, kind of having an idea of what you're passionate about, and we can kind of help guide you in the right direction.
'Cause I think that's like the biggest frustration when you're first starting. You kind of know what the end game is, but how to get there can be a little. That's what happened to me. That's why I ended up with a ton of credit hours I didn't really use because I just kept taking classes. So.
Yes, a lot of times when I have students come in and they don't know what degree they want, my first question to them is, what do you want to do after your degree? And so that really kind of helps me say, oh, well, here's some options. So if you have kind of an end goal in mind, even if you don't know how to get there, I might be able to kind of help route you there.
Mhm. Good advice. Do you have any questions for her?
Yeah, I have another question. I feel like I'm gonna ask a lot of questions. So after this summer, I'll be finished with my sociology minor, and I was like kind of teetering on because I still have another like year and a half ish like left. How much harder would it be to just go ahead and do a double major? And because I'm doing criminal justice and sociology, since I'm basically finishing all my sociology over the summer.
Without seeing your degree, typically what I recommend for students is, instead of doing the double major, I would focus all of your attention on finishing your bachelor's degree as soon as possible and go get your master's degree. I mean, it kind of depends on the person. Some people, it does benefit them to do the double major, double route. But I personally think that instead of putting forth a lot of extra energy on a double major, put all your energy in finishing the one major and then go into graduate school. But
Graduate school.
yeah, I'm a big advocate for graduate school. I loved graduate school. It was one of my favorite things. So I actually miss it. So highly recommend graduate school for you. Like I said, without knowing your exact case, it may benefit you to do a double major. I'd have to see your degree.
And for graduate school, who's our advisor for that? Or is it multiple advisors as well?
So at the graduate level, advisors are faculty members. So we do have kind of administrative advisors for the graduate school. So you would contact the graduate school directly. For your specific program, you would have a faculty member who was in charge.
Mhm. Okay. And that was like the biggest thing whenever I moved to graduate school. I was like, okay, so do I talk to, because I've always talked to Ms. Yvonne, and she's like, no, you gotta go talk to your, faculty advisor. I was like, oh, that's different. But
Yes,
they're
it's
all,
very different.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think for my program is Dr. Berry at this time, Dr. Floyd
Yes,
Berry.
for criminal justice, yes.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. Anybody else have any questions for her?
nobody else does, I have another one. It's not a personal question. This one's a random question. I don't know if you can like say, but what is one of the craziest things, I guess, that you have been asked or like experienced being an academic advisor?
Let's see.
He's thinking. I bet there's a long list.
I get asked a lot of questions. I'm not sure I can think of one that's like, there's not one that's sticking out, but I do get asked quite a lot of questions, some of which are not necessarily even pertaining to academic advising, but just because we have the title advisor, students come to us, and that's okay. Because a lot of times we can, at least if we don't know the answer, we can point them to someone who does. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to give that one some thought.
And I guess since you got your bachelor's and your graduate degree in history, how hard was it for you to kind of make the transition to be an academic advisor?
It was challenging going from being like solely focused on history and the field of history and developing a career in history to thinking more broad and having to learn all of the degrees and kind of the ins and outs of all of them, because the College of Arts and Sciences has quite a few degrees to learn. And so yeah, just kind of broadening my perspective and kind of learning how each degree is different. Like the way you approach a criminal justice degree is going to be different than the way you approach a history degree. So there's kind of different nuances to each degree. And so that was challenging. It took some time to learn. I'm still learning quite a lot.
Is it true that historians cannot touch history books, like to be editors?
I have heard that historians are not usually involved in like the development of history textbooks for school, but I don't know if that's true or not. Because if just regular history books, I mean, those are written by historians and they're expected to go through a peer review process. So I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I have heard that typically like academic historians who are at the university level are not the ones developing like high school history textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I have heard that.
The abundance of information out there, they wouldn't know what to, because one historian would want to focus on one area. And
exactly, yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. I never thought about that.
There's an entire King of the Hill episode.
Garrett, you would be the one to know that.
I know. I watched it during lunch like yesterday or day before.
Fantastic.
Where like the only mention of the Alamo was that there's an attraction in San Antonio and then the population of San Antonio. Like that was it. Like, who's writing these?
Sometimes when I meet people that like aren't from Texas, I'm like, hi, and I shake their hand and I say, remember the Alamo.
You've won
the
up.
Alamo.
I'm proud of you.
Even though we lost at the Alamo.
Remember that we lost.
That's the point of remembering it. It's a memorial. San Jacinto wasn't kicking.
Oh.
I feel like he's like talking about like sports.
Too funny.
I guess like digging more into it, since you studied like history so much, what made you decide to become an academic advisor instead of going into like the history field? I don't know much about the history jobs, but
sure. So history is actually, for humanities, history is actually a pretty marketable degree. And having experience as an academic advisor just kind of opened up another avenue for me. I am still considering the possibility of getting my PhD in history, I just kind of needed a break after my master's. I was a little tired. So I was like, I'm gonna get some experience in another field so that if I ever wanted to come back into higher education, I would have that experience under my belt. So typically, if you're going to be a professional historian, you're going to go into the route of the PhD in history, become a college professor or researcher, or you're going to go into public history, which is going to be overseeing things like the Alamo or working in museums. You could also potentially go into working into archives, but you typically have to have a Library of Science degree in addition to a history degree to do that. So there's some different routes, and I'm still kind of deciding on my options. And so I thought this would be a great way to kind of learn the higher education field, have more experience in kind of an interdisciplinary approach. I really like anthropology, so it's fun to be able to kind of dabble in the social sciences. So yeah.
That's awesome.
That is really cool.
It's funny how sometimes these degrees, you don't realize the amount of jobs you can get with, like as a
Yeah.
sociologist, you can do public service, you can do state government, or you can work in higher ed. So I love that. And is that something you guys normally do? Do you kind of like advise to like future fields, or is it more just concentrated on like, take this class, don't take that class?
Well, I think it's kind of both. I'd say we're more versed in obviously the classes and the degrees themselves, but occasionally we can kind of be like, hey, if you do this, this is going to look good for a career in this. We can also kind of help connect you to resources. I've had students before not really know how to get kind of from A to B, and I was able to kind of do some research with them in my office and be like, hey, if we do this with this degree, we can maybe get you here. I also typically recommend students go see career and professional development. I also recommend students talk to their professors, because a lot of students don't realize how much of a resource their professors are. Professors, and our professors love talking to students. Like they're fantastic. I mean, they teach at a place like our school because our classes are small and they can develop relationships with their students and they want to talk to them. So I think that's great. Or at least that's always been my experience.
Oh, big shout out to Dr. Shane. She was pivotal in me deciding, what I wanted to do with my degree. And
yeah, Dr. Shane is awesome.
Yeah, I think we can all agree how much we adore her.
100%.
Yeah, for me, like in biology, my advisor is Dr. E, and she works so hard. Like she oversees all of the research, except for the ones that are in like biochemistry and chemistry, but
yeah,
she oversees all of our research. She like sets up opportunities for us to go to like conferences. She tells all of us like, what we could be doing and like helps us with like advising and like, I don't know, she does a lot, and it's kind of
she really
bonkers.
does.
Yeah, because our program just keeps growing, and it's like, whoa, I don't know how she's doing it, but she is.
Yes, the biology program is growing. It's gotten real big.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
So what would you say is our biggest program at this point, like degree program?
I honestly don't know. I know we have a pretty big criminal justice program.
Yeah.
I think there's quite a few sociology. Aviation is experiencing a boom right now. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one.
I was canvassing for them to bring a master's in sociology. I kept bugging Dr. Shane and Dr. Dieter. They're like, oh no, stop it, no. So if that comes, then there goes another master's.
Yes.
And it's funny because like when you start out, like whenever I first started A&M, I had an advisor like ask me like where I wanted to like what I wanted to do after I graduated. And at the time I like wanted to be a probation officer, but the more I like talked to my professors and really started working at the university, it's like changed drastically. Like now I don't even want to go near being a probation officer.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because I actually want to I think I'm leaning more towards getting a master's degree in like leadership because I love
Sure.
working in higher ed so much that I think I might do a little bit of a 180 and just work
Yeah.
in higher education and just have a bachelor's in CJ.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, I think that's also one of the points of college is like I was saying earlier, to have kind of that evolution of self where you kind of, even if you started one way and you end up somewhere else, that's totally okay because you're learning who you are and what you want.
And I was so scared for a little bit too. Like I thought just because I had a major in criminal justice that my job had to strictly be somewhere in criminal justice. Like I love it
Yeah.
and like I am passionate about it, or else, what's the point of learning something so much in detail, going into debt without loving it?
Mhm.
But I realized too, like that base degree, like going into like graduate school, you can go into so many other things. I thought for the longest time that because I was getting a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, I had to go into graduate school with the same thing. And something that I learned from being here is that you don't have to. A lot of
Right.
people get like random bachelor's degrees and then go into something completely different in graduate school.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
I'm like waiting so other people can talk because I've been talking a lot this whole time. So I'm like,
So I actually have been looking into going to law school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm
Awesome.
like, I'm my bachelor's is going to be in social work, and I want to go to UT, and
Mhm.
they have a master's program. You get your MSW and you get your doctor in law.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, at the same time. And
Look at Garrett typing furiously. Look at him go. He was so upset when I said I wanted to go to UT. It's the professors, dude. But like for my major specifically, it's not that it's UT. It's not that I don't like A&M. I love A&M.
Every time you say UT,
I
his
do.
eyebrow starts twitching.
He's like
green down his forehead.
No, actually, I popped a blood vessel on Friday. You can't really see on the screen. It's getting better.
He's like, them dang longhorns.
It's actually because of y'all, but we'll get to that later. Actually,
He's gonna call a private meeting after.
yeah, it was
and
in
we're all
support of y'all.
fired.
I just want to look at frogs in Costa Rica.
Do what?
I just want to look at frogs in Costa Rica.
Okay. I feel my blood pressure rising. What?
We totally cut Amanda off, by the way.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
continue,
Amanda.
Amanda.
It's fine. I'm used to it. It's okay.
I don't know.
No,
Go for
that's
a
it.
walk.
That's
I'm
basically.
Hold on. Mute.
I finished. That's it. Like, I just want to go to law school. Like, I'm doing bachelor's in social work, and I'm still gonna get my master's in social work, but I can also go to law school at the same time. That's it. Y'all didn't cut me off.
I, was about-
I just
I felt bad because I was like, I didn't think we cut her off. I didn't.
I just want to point out that Carla muted me.
She was like, you did. I hear my earbuds.
She's like, no, I'm not doing that to you. I know I talked. I am hurt.
No way.
Garrett,
I'm
I'm finally
having too
gonna
much
play.
fun.
Oh,
You see, Miss Hannah, you see that what we have to put up with? They're crazy. No wonder poor Garrett is popping out blood vessels.
Oh, boy.
It wasn't y'all's fault.
This one time, I wanted to point out the one time where we were just having a ball in the office, and Garrett picks out of his office. He's like, "Okay, you guys are here. I need you to take it here." And I feel like I just got in trouble by my dad. I was like,
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
I said it with a smile.
You did not say it with a smile. You
Well,
were
then
like,
that wasn't your fault then. Somebody else probably had just walked in.
it's no big deal. I just thought it was so funny because I was like, whoa.
I just love how Ambassador Williams just smiles, and same thing with Savannah. They're just like smiling, like, yeah. They're the good kids.
And it's like, did I just log in for a discipline meeting with these folks or what?
It's not muted anymore.
You guys have
Someone
any
told me
more
I-
questions for Miss Hannah? Do you guys have any more questions for Miss
Introduce
Hannah?
yourself and
Do we? I asked you, Carla. You,
I was curious how hard your first year of college actually
Okay,
is.
go ahead, Krishan. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say because you said like we don't have any like language-based graduate degrees, but like do we have?
I'm trying to
I'm sorry, you were saying language-based degrees?
Oh, I just got unmuted now.
I have a question. How hard is the first year of college? Like, how hard is it?
What? I can't hear what she's saying.
How hard is the first year of college?
It depends on how many classes you take, what classes you take. In my opinion, if you're doing like a science major or like a math major, something hard like that, and you still have basic classes to take, I would talk to my advisor and see if I can mix things up so that you're not doing all your easy classes and then slammed with the hard ones for the last 2 years.
Yeah. I always try to balance mine out with like maybe 2 or 3 like main courses and do like 2 to 3 electives. Your electives are like your easier classes. Give or take your easier classes. So don't try to take all your hard courses together, kind of like Hannah was saying.
Yeah.
Don't take note of that.
And what was Krishan saying?
I was saying like because you said Carla that we didn't have any like linguistic degrees, but like do we have anything similar to that, or would I have to like go to a different school for that?
I guess that's a question for you, Miss Hannah. Do we have anything like that?
Yeah.
We have a minor in language and linguistics, but we do not have a graduate degree in language and linguistics. So you might have some classes that you could, so say you went into a master's in English, you may be able to take a linguistics class. Because we have that language and linguistics minor for the undergrad, a lot of times they'll have graduate sections. But we don't have a specific language and linguistics degree.
Is that something you're interested in, Krishan?
Oh yeah.
You speak Spanish and you're dabbling in Latin, right?
Yeah, I speak both of them. I speak Spanish better, but yeah.
Okay. Especially
That's
that's important. It's so funny. He sends us like these little text messages in like Latin. Sometimes we're like, whoa. What?
That's awesome.
And they are sometimes they're just like so random, and like we won't be like talking in the chat for like a good like day or two, and all of a sudden Krishan's like 2 full sentences of Spanish, and I wait for Carla to respond before I respond.
Are you studying Latin anywhere specific, or are you just doing it on your own?
No, I just use Duolingo and I just
Okay.
listen to rain chants and stuff.
Have you heard about Babbel, Krishan?
Yeah, I have, but I don't use it. I just use Duolingo really. But
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a commercial for it, I think this morning or last night, and it was the way they advertise it, it was saying like, I think it was they're competing with Duolingo, but they're saying that they have like a more structured program, and like it's more of like giving you the experience and like putting sentences together, not just learning like words. But I saw that in, I don't know if you've heard of it, but
If I have to buy it, I probably won't.
right? No one wants to buy. Like, come on.
It's so funny to me because like I've done Duolingo too, and I don't know if it's like my brain or like the way that I learn, but I just can't do it. And then there's Krishan who could do it and do it on the free side. And he's like, yeah, I know Spanish. And I'm just like, why can't I do that?
Dude, Krishan is unbelievably like overly competent. You know what I mean?
That sounded like I understand what you meant, but the word confident just also sounds like, maybe because I've always heard it in like a negative connotation. So to me, that just totally sounded like a backhanded compliment.
Oh. I mean, we're all competent, but I feel like Krishan can just do it.
Too funny. Too funny.
There were some pretty dank memes going on about Duolingo there for a while, where basically like whatever language you were trying to learn, you know, it sends you that notification. It's like, it looks like you've missed your lesson. You know what that means? But after you know what that means, it was whatever language you were trying to learn, they took that country's classic form of punishment, and it was like the little bird was about to do that to you. Somebody had gotten in and photoshopped all the notifications. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
What would Latin do? Like chop your head off or something? Or
I have no idea. The last one I saw, it was like you've missed your Russian lesson. You know what that means? And it was just like firing squad. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what Duolingo was. So I'm like, what is this app, and why are they sending these notifications out?
Holy cow.
Sadly, that's how I started using Duolingo.
Good advertising.
You know, I really do think sometimes, like I thought I knew not everything, but like a good amount. And then Garrett like starts talking, and I'm like, I knew nothing.
I'm glad I can be an educator. Unintentionally.
And it's like these cool random things. Like this one time we're sitting in the office, and he's like, "Do you guys want to read some of my book?" And I was like, "You have a book?" Like, yeah, I've only been writing it since like what, high school, college? I was like,
dude, he was reading us excerpts, and I was like, wow, man, your life's crazy.
I can barely create a calendar at the beginning.
You know when people make their Instagram bio, "My life a movie." That was Garrett. Nobody can say that except for Garrett. Garrett plays shows, solo, no band.
He also has his own podcast. What kind of main character are you?
But I can't remember to switch the laundry out. You know, like it just it balances.
Many talents, Garrett. Many talents.
Speaking of talents, I picked up a new one.
What is it?
Hold on, I'll be right back.
I'm so concerned every time she gets up. What is gonna happen?
Do you have any wisdom words for us, Miss Hannah, now that you see the mess that we are?
I say keep at it. Sounds like you'll have fun.
You guys know how the second parking lot at school is always empty? So when Kirsten and Christian were driving me to my car after our video, we passed it, and I was like, y'all, that's like the best skating spot because it's always empty and it's like a little bit slanted. So like when you go down, you can pick up like so much momentum.
Katie, dating.
I almost died.
I need to get out of there.
It's cute. It's so cute.
Thanks. I fell, but it's fine.
Don't worry, we have parking passes.
This is true.
$30 concussion. Oh goodness.
They start checking like the security footage to see if we're wearing helmets or not.
You guys blue coats, please wear your helmets.
Y'all roll up on like a Sunday at 4 a.m. and we're over there like, woo! Ah.
Anybody else have any more questions that are pertinent?
No comment.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Miss Hannah. It has been a lot of fun. Do you have any questions for us?
Let's see. Not that I can think of off the top of my head, but thank y'all so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Every Tuesday, 10 o'clock. We're over here making a ruckus. What is it,
Right.
cacophony? What is it? A hot garbage cacophony ruckus?
Raucous cacophony of hot garbage.
In the infamous words of Jeremy Upshire.
I also have one more quick thing to say before we hop off here. This might be kind of weird, but Hannah's voice on this chat has been just so nice and so smoothing. Like, it's a very nice, like, voice.
Like you can hear that she's entertained, but she's also chilling. Like she's like, yeah. Uh-huh.
It's professional.
It's very nice. I definitely see why you're an advisor. This is very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being here today. This recording will be posted on YouTube later. So if anybody have any last minute questions, bye, Jessica. Love ya. Happy birthday again, Savannah. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
Savannah, your gift is going in the mail today, so please expect it next week or so.
Oh, okay, good. I'm excited.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us and hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.